Hello, this is Greg Hannon from GospelMusicUniversity.com. And in today's lesson of keyboards, tips, tricks, and more, we're going to look at some R&B chords that are very, very popular in that particular language, and some of the most popular chords that students need to actually learn. I got a request from a student, and his name is John, and John was asking for some assistance with transcribing a section of the song "Till You Come Back to Me" by Rachelle Ferell, and we're going to look at the section of the song that he actually wanted us to look at in this lesson, and it's going to actually help you also, cause when in R&B, and keep in mind that when we talk about contemporary music, everything is transferable. The chords that are modern gospel now are components from R&B, jazz, and other pop styles. So we have to really get familiar with the various styles to really get the authenticity to even to play our gospel, even to play our jazz or our pop. We have to look at all the language. We can't just go in one box and say, hey, I'm just going to play this, because all the art forms of contemporary music are borrowing elements from all these different genres. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this tune and this little part of the section. It's actually in B major. It does modulate to C, but this part of the song that John wanted me to look at is in the key of B major. So let's look at the B major scale, okay? And let's look at the scale and the scale tone numbers. So the one in the key of B, of course, is B. The two is C sharp. The three is D sharp. The four is E. The five is F sharp. The six is G sharp. The seven is A sharp. And then, of course, B is one. So why are we talking about all these sharps, and why are we not naming these keys differently? Why is this called a D sharp and not an E flat? Well, typically when you get a little bit more involved in music theory, if you haven't had a lot of formal training in music theory or basic keyboard lessons or sight reading lessons, when we introduce scales, every scale has X amount of sharps or flats in it. Generally every major key has X amount of scales or X amount of sharps, and there are no key of major scales that have where they're actually mixed. So if we're in a key that the key signature, and if you don't understand what key signature is, then you need to go back and look at some of the other lessons on GospelMusicUniversity.com and help you understand the theory. But the key of B major has absolutely five sharps. And if you look at the key of, if you saw it written out on paper, and the key signature it'll be five sharps up in the corner that says, hey, in the key of B, in the scale of B, all the notes are going to be sharp. So we're not going to call this B and this next one D flat, or this one E flat, or this we are G flat, A flat. And those are more common terms because we play in flat keys a lot more than we do in the sharp keys. So we're looking at some of the difference in the keys. So basically, when we talk about the key of B, we got to say, hey, B has five sharps. What are they? C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. So when we're in the key of B, theoretically, if we want to be correct, and we want to have a formal understanding of theory, we have to keep everything relevant to its key. So we're in the key of B, so we're not going to call that D sharp and E flat, because in the key of B, uh, B has all sharps, B doesn't have any flats. So we have to understand that each note has two different names to it, and that term is called enharmonic. So D sharp and the enharmonic equivalent of D sharp is E flat. Now, if we were playing the key of E flat, yeah, we would call it E flat. And this is A flat. The enharmonic equivalent is G sharp. If we were in the key of A flat, we would call it A flat, but we're not in the key of A flat. So we have to retrain ourselves and understand theory like in the key of C. C has no sharps or no flats. Everything is a white note. The key of D flat has all flats. So we'll name everything, all the black keys, we'll name them flats. So, the key of B flat has flat. Typically, a good rule of thumb is if the key is named like A flat, G flat, B flat, meaning if it has flat in the key's name, then all the notes that you run into the scale tones, they're going to be flats. Not all the ones, but the ones that apply to the key signature are going to be called flats. So if we were in the key of, say, C sharp, which is in harmonic of D flat, then everything, all our notes have to be referred to as sharps. Now, if we have some non-diatonic chord tones, then yeah, we can refer to them differently. And I don't want to get too deep in theory right now, but I just want to understand that, and we'll talk about that because if you order my, I have a chart, a transposition chart, which actually, and a chord name symbols chart, and I have a key circle chart. If you have the key circle, if you ever familiar with the circle of fifths or the circle of fourths, you would see that the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths actually they give you the key signatures, and you can uh, visually see what keys have X amount of sharps and what key has X amount of flats. For instance, B flat has two flats, and then those two flats are E flat and B flat. The key of F has one flat, that's B flat. The key of G has one sharp, which is F sharp. So we have to understand what sharps and what to call notes in those keys, and that's going to make us better musicians. It's going to require a little bit more understanding of theory, but as we get more involved in this, it's going to make sense. It's going to help. It's going to open up your ears. It's going to open your mind for creativity and other possibilities. So let me go back again. Again, B is 1, C sharp is 2, in the key of B. I'm still in the key of B. D sharp is 3, E is 4, F sharp is 5, G sharp is 6, A sharp is 7, and then of course B is 1. And R&B, this particular style that Rachelle Ferell is singing, a lot of chords that are popular in this are just your major ninths. All your major ninths are so popular in this chord. So now that we got the scale tone numbers out of the way, you can write those down and memorize those. Let's look at some of the chords that we're using in this particular song, and let's have a listen to just a little section that John was inquiring about. And let me play just a little bit of it.
There's no one in this world who's gonna love you like I do. I'll keep on wishing till you come back. I'll get up till you're right here with me.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that, and let's. There's a lot going on. You got a full band, you got a vocalist, you got keyboards, you got other synthesizers, you got all kind of string sounds and bass guitar and a lot of other sounds that are in that particular song. So let's talk about what do we do first? How do we even attempt to find that and figure out what's going on? And that goes back to hearing the bass line. If we can't hear the bass line in this particular song or any other song that we're trying to transcribe by ear, it's going to be shooting in the dark. You're never going to be able to find the right chord. The bass is the foundation of every chord. And if you can find that foundation, you can build a chord off of that. If you have no foundation, then it will be impossible to build or find the right chord or the right harmony. So first of all, we want a rule of thumb in transcribing. Once we find the key, and I've already given that to you, and I haven't, so if you want to learn how to find the key to a song, in my contemporary chord finder learning system, which is actually on special right now for $67 on the DVD tutorial, it actually teaches you how to find the key of a song, just by listening to it and determining the key, because you got to find the key first. And then once you find the key, then you can look at those scale tones and those major scales. They're going to really help us to determine, man, is it a 1, is it a 5, is it a 3, is it a 7? We have to know those in every key. So right now this is not a tutorial on finding what the key is, because I'm giving you that the key is B major in this case. But the scale tone numbers, we absolutely need to know those. So again, we're in the key of B major. And now we need to find the bass line. We know what our scale tones are. We need to find the bass line, and now we got to listen for it. And I'm going to play the bass line along with the track so you can get an idea of where they fall. And then we begin to number the bass line based on the scale tone numbers. And we're going to look at that again, and we're going to play that track. But you got to start off by hearing that bass line. Most people hear the melody because the melody is really easy to hear on any track, but the bass line requires another level of listening. And in my contemporary keyboard harmony 1 course, that's an online course on Gospel Music University, which if you haven't taken that, I recommend that every student take that course. The ear training modules that's included with that course will teach you how to hit a bass line by giving you a lot of examples and starting you out with basic sounds and then complicating it by adding drums and guitar and horns and everything else, but still training the ear to hear the bass line. So if you try to learn how to play by ear, and if you have not studied some type of ear training course, because basic ear training deals with just melodic intervals and that kind of thing, and that's okay for melodic uh, dictation. But if you want to really learn the essence of contemporary music, when you plug in those CD, we'll listen to a whole track with a whole band and everything. So we got to learn how to listen that way to hear the bass in spite of all that. So let's play this. Let's play this right quick, and let's kind of look at back that up just a little bit. Hold on one second. I'm back up just a little bit. So let's look at it one more time. Let's transcribe the bass line. The notes are appearing. So the bass line is going to give us a whole lot of information on what the harmonies are and what the chords are. So let's do that one more time. And first note is start on the E. So let's go back and look at that one more time. Here we go. So at that point, it modulates. So basically, again, here on the bass line, we have it start out with an E, then it went to an A, then it goes to a B, then it goes to a G sharp, then it goes back to the E, and then it goes to an A, then it goes to a D, then it goes to an F sharp. Okay, so once we found that information, now we need to try to figure out, okay, we're in the key of B, and then let's try to name these scale tones. Okay, I have an E in the bass on the first chord. In the key of B, an E is the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. E is the 4. So we got a 4 in the bass. That's going to tell us a whole lot about what the possibility of the chords may be. And this kind of runs congruently with my contemporary chord finding learning system. It's all about, hey, if you can find the bass or you can hear the bass, you can go through the chord index table of over 500 of the most popular chords used in R&B, pop, and gospel and find what the actual chord is. And all of these chords that we're doing right now that's in this song and so many other songs are in the contemporary chord finder. So we actually could use the contemporary chord finder to find the chords to this song in literally every song that you would need to be working with in contemporary music.